RedSec moves faster than the way I normally play Battlefield. That's not a complaint, that's just me being honest. I play this franchise in a very deliberate, measured way, and that's from reading terrain, moving with a purpose, and avoiding unnecessary chaotic shenanigans if I can help it. RedSec doesn't wait for any of that. So today I wanted to talk about it and show what happened. I went into the mode exactly the way I always play. Steady, intentional, and observant. Now, the goal wasn't to force a win. The goal was pretty simple. See how far a deliberate pace actually carried me in a mode that pushes tempo over patience. My approach to Battlefield hasn't changed in years. I don't sprint everywhere. I don't slide around the map trying to shave milliseconds off movement. I don't jump corners, and I don't play like a caffeine-powered hummingbird. I play slow on purpose. Not because I'm avoiding engagement, but because I want to understand the ground I'm fighting on. That's the entire foundation of how I approach this franchise. It's the way I've played Conquest, Breakthrough, and Portal. RedSec, however, is built on a different spine. It compresses decisions. It shrinks the margin of error. It forces engagements way sooner than I'd normally choose them. And it rewards the faster operator on the field, not necessarily the most patient one. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not good or bad. It's just the structure of the mode. So I wanted to answer a simple question. What does RedSec feel like if you approach it with the same pace, the same mindset, and the same deliberation that works everywhere else in Battlefield for me? When I came up with this idea, I wasn't chasing any specific challenge. I wasn't trying to set records or looking for a highlight reel. I was just testing a style, my style, under a different kind of pressure. And I learned a few things very quickly. The first few minutes tell you pretty much everything you need to know. The first minute of a RedSec match sets the tone more aggressively than most Battlefield modes. I landed the way I always do, deliberately scanning the area around me, checking the shadows, listening for footsteps or vehicles, and trying to get a feel for the terrain before committing to anything. That's my standard operating procedure across the franchise. In RedSec, that opening sequence already put me behind. The moment your boots touch the ground, the mode is funneling players towards high-pressure zones. If you aren't looking quickly, rotating immediately, and setting up a defensible angle or position, other players simply get ahead of you. Not because they're more skilled, but because they're moving at a tempo that the mode expects. Looting slow doesn't punish you in a BR. Playing slow doesn't punish you in Conquest. RedSec, it notices. I moved through the map the way I always do, clearing corners, collect what I needed, avoided unnecessary noise, listening to the voice on the comms, and tried to position myself logically before I rotated out. In RedSec, that behavior means other players are already sprinting past you. They're hitting the sweet spots, they're taking the higher ground, and they're pushing for engagements. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a different pacing. The first fight I got into wasn't a gunfight I chose. It was a gunfight that formed because I was still reading the ground while someone else was already committing to an action. RedSec doesn't give you the time to acclimate, doesn't give you the time to observe, it doesn't give you the time to breathe. That doesn't make it unfair. It just means it's a mode that expects decisiveness instead of deliberation. And someone who plays slow on purpose, I felt that immediately. Not emotionally, not in this is a bad thing or this is in a bad way. just in a practical, this is a different rhythm kind of way. I even tried starting this match with a pistol-only mindset. Now, not to show off, not for content, just to see how my preferred engagement range played out. And it didn't hold very long. Not because pistols are unusable, but because RedSec doesn't reliably give you pistol-friendly ranges unless you force them. I noticed the cover density is inconsistent. Sightlines stretch just as far enough that pistol fight just basically became a bad trade-off. And when the tempo is this high, you don't get to dictate your engagement distances as cleanly as you would in something like Conquest. The pistol lasted exactly as long as the terrain allowed, which wasn't long at all. And I'm sure players finding the extra armor plates wasn't helpful to me either. So I shifted back to my normal approach. Find weapons that hit harder while still staying cautious. That carried me surprisingly far, even when I didn't see engagements. My best run placed me at 3rd place. Not being dramatic, not being lucky, and not even being skill dependent. Just steady decision making until the circle closed enough that the mode's tempo overtook my pace. I shifted my plans from early eliminations of the opponents to get to the center without being eliminated. And one elimination. A handful of clean rotations. I didn't do any panic movement. I didn't do any reckless aggression either. Just controlled play until RedSec demanded a faster gear than I normally run. And that result made complete sense. A deliberate playstyle doesn't give you early advantages in this mode. You don't overwhelm anyone with speed. You don't take the high ground before anyone else. You don't outrun third parties. And you don't clear funnels ahead of the pack. You survive until the mode compresses far enough that decisiveness becomes more important than terrain reading. No, don't get me wrong, that's not criticism. That's just the design of RedSec as it exists today. The mode favors early momentum. My style favors stability. Those two ideas meet in the late game, not the early one. Now, what I learned and how I'm adapting? So here's the conclusion, pretty stated plainly. RedSec isn't difficult. It's just tuned for a different pace. If you play Battlefield slowly and deliberately, the things that work in Conquest still work here. Reading terrain, staying aware of your flanks and your rear, controlling your angles, and avoid unnecessary noise. Those fundamentals don't suddenly stop working. But RedSec adds a layer that traditional Battlefield modes don't emphasize. You have to commit earlier. Earlier rotations, earlier loadout decisions, earlier positioning, earlier pressure. The mode rewards players who set the tempo instead of reacting to it. That doesn't mean you have to abandon a slow play style, it just means you have to make your slow decisions sooner than you're used to. And I don't mind that. It's a different kind of test. And I'll still keep approaching RedSec the way I approach the rest of the game. Steady, deliberate, intentional. I'll just adjust them as the mode evolves. But I'm not changing my identity to match the tempo. I'm refining my time to meet it halfway. If you play the game at a deliberate pace too, I'm curious how RedSec feels on your end. Let me know in the comments. Before you leave, please take a moment to check the video's description for this month's Military Support Spotlight. For November, I'm spotlighting MSGA, Military Support Groups of America. Please take a moment to check them out. The info is near the bottom of the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. Till the next one.